It's all black everywhere. African American, I think the African American culture is the strongest culture on the planet. China, everywhere is hip hop. When I was in Japan, when I was in Korea, black people are copied. All that K-pop is just nothing but a new edition.
There's always something that's standing in the way, but if you don't let it phase you, you know just how to break, just get the right vibe. I can't describe this feeling that I feel for her. Why do I feel this way? Why does she stay?
So here we go again, back with another one. Welcome to the Dark Times channel. And I'm going to ask you guys to kind of bear with me today. I'm a little bit under the weather, as you can probably hear in my voice, but I'm going to try to make it anyway. I know it's been a while since I posted a video, and so here we go. And this is a video that I wanted to do a few days ago because I came across that interview with Shay and Godfrey, in which Godfrey opened up a little bit as it pertains to African Americans and everybody else.
Black Africans and African Americans always butt heads anyway. Yeah. That would be a perfect dynamic. So I went in there.
Why y'all hate us?
What? Well, you're Nigerian now. You need to talk to them. Why do you hate Shannon on me? For what? No, why do we don't hate? That's some bullshit.
Nah, y'all do. Y'all be hating.
No, wait a
Y'all be
minute.
sneak tip hating.
Wait, first of all, as me being raised here, I protect both. First of all, some Nigerians, they do sometimes, Africans in general, some of them do think they're better than African Americans, which is bull.
And so absolutely, no doubt about it, there is a segment, especially amongst our brothers and sisters from the Caribbean, the islands, and from the diaspora, when they do come over here and they come to America, a lot of them turn their noses up and they look down on the so-called black community, the so-called Black Americans within America, especially if they're not of a certain status.
Known how can make it for you.
Apparently, these are the best women Queens has to offer. Pick one and let's go home.
Like Shannon Sharp said, they kind of sneak this here and there.
Nah, y'all do. Y'all be hating.
No, wait a
Y'all be
minute.
sneak tip hating.
Wait.
They have this attitude like, I came over here, I became this or I became that, so why couldn't you? And like I said, that attitude is mainly aimed at a lot of people in the lower class of the so-called black community. And when I say lower class, I'm not an elitist, not in the slightest. Doesn't matter to me how much money anybody makes. It doesn't matter to me what somebody's profession is. That means very little. I judge people by the content of their character and by the interactions I have between them. But not everybody feels that way. So when I talk like that, that's what I mean. I'm speaking in general terms. And so like I said, a lot of people have this elitist attitude when it comes to so-called Black Americans. But you would never see the same in reverse. Because if Black Americans wanted to, when we do travel outside of the United States, we could go to almost any country and thumb our nose up and look down on the majority of the population within that particular society, whether it be Asia, whether it be Africa, whether it be South America, wherever. But we don't do that. When we do show up and we go to these other places, we show respect. We show the respect that they deserve for even allowing us to view that particular country. But like I said, for whatever reason, when people do come over here, they feel like they have the right to look down on certain people within the black community. And that's a fact.
African Americans have gone through the hell that they've gone through and still go through. How are you coming from that mentality and saying you thinking you better than them? Because you have an accent? Because for some reason, the white society in America tends to, Africa, he has an accent. It's a little different. It's like when you're British, like Idris said, when you have a British accent and you're black. Hello, I don't know. That's what I'm doing. Ooh, that's why they get to play us. I thought Idris Elba was from Baltimore.
Nah, it's just business.
We'll let Idris play that,
Yeah.
but then when he gets back to his normal self, we get to hear James Bond.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we don't want to hear that. It's something about that. I don't know. I think it's just a little weird. It's like African Americans go through hell, but everybody copies African Americans.
Right.
Everybody does. I've been to a lot of countries. You've been to a lot of countries. I've been to a lot.
I've been to a lot of countries.
You haven't been to a lot of countries? You're so Southern. He's like, I'll go.
I've been to a lot of states.
A lot of stuff. God damn. I go fishing over there. So damn. And out here, my RV.
Yeah.
Like my grandma said, man, if you ain't got nothing to do, stay where you at. but listen, I'm saying Africa. When I've been to China, I actually performed. I was the first American to perform in Russia in 2018 in Moscow. I've been black everywhere, hip hop. There's Russian hip hop. I was in Lithuania. Went to a Lithuanian hip hop club. I was the only black dude there, and they were all grabbing it. But I'm like this. Hi guys, hello. Hi, that's our culture. Yeah. China, everywhere is hip hop. When I was in Japan, when I was in Korea, black people are copied. All that K-pop is just nothing but New Edition. It's all black shit everywhere. African American, I think the African American culture is the strongest culture on the planet, period. Because
no doubt about it. Because the music that you're hearing now, the music that is coming from so-called Black Americans, and by the way, a lot of the music and a lot of musicians aren't even Black Americans. They're cosplaying as Black Americans, but they're not Black Americans. A lot of these musicians come from all over the world, but they look like us, and so they get lumped into Black American culture. And this isn't Black American culture in the least. It's degenerate culture, and that's what's being promoted. And I'm not saying anything that most of you don't already know. If you're somebody that grew up in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, or even before that, then you can attest to how music was and how music was supposed to be, how it was supposed to move you, not just in your lower chakra, but every single chakra within your body. It was supposed to be a spiritual experience, not just a physical one. And of course, there's always been a level of degenerate music, something to just move your body to, bump your head to. There's always been an element of that.
Oh yeah. I get around, come around. Still
But it was never supposed to be the main dish. It was supposed to be a side dish, a dessert. It was never meant to be the entree. It's like somebody feeding you Twinkies and Ho-Hos every night for your dinner. Eventually what's going to happen is your teeth are going to fall out and everything inside you is going to rot because you're not getting anything that's nutritious. You're not getting any nutritional value. Now, I'm not going to go into the why as to why certain record companies and producers would want to promote this kind of music to black youth. I'm not going to go into the why because what's understood doesn't need to be explained. But I will say this, everybody, and I mean everybody, is experiencing the fallout from that. Everybody is suffering the consequences of that. Because we should have been had at least 6 or 7 more Michael Jacksons come through. And I'm not talking about Michael Jackson to the T, but I'm talking about the spirit of a Michael Jackson, somebody that is going to come along and do something and sing something that you've never heard before. Somebody who's going to be somewhat of a revolutionary when it comes to the music game. A James Brown, a Michael Jackson, an Aretha Franklin, a Tina Turner. And of course, I can't mention Tina without Ike, because without Ike, there would be no Tina. And so I'm talking about individuals like that. We should have been had individuals like that come forth. But you're never going to see that again. And even now, when we do try to branch out and broaden our horizons and get back to our roots, they tell us what?
You know, just everything. Just, damn, jazz, blues, everything. You create, African Americans created all of American music. It's all black. Like, even country music, even though they complaining, like John Schneider from the Dukes of Hazzard. What are you, Joe, Bo Duke? What's wrong with you? He goes, what is it? Beyonce, boy, it's just like a dog pissing on everything. Shut up. It's black. Yeah. Country music is ours. It's black. I'm claiming it. And you're gonna say, oh, good, you just come to the Shut up. you still white people take from old black men and black women and make it and then say, you stay out of goddamn. Look at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. How do we have a Hall of Fame and we gotta wait to get inducted from the music the black people created? And you got a whole white, well, we don't know. What? Have you been to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Elvis goes from here to the bottom. James Brown got, That's a measurement in James Brown talk. He got a look. Yeah. He got an exhibit this big. It's literally, Wow. That's it. This exhibit is that big. Chuck Berry. But Elvis goes, holy, holy,
All the way down the hall.
all the way down the hall.
And so-called Black Americans have been systematically kicked out of almost every single genre except when it comes to so-called hip-hop music and rap music. You're not going to see a mainstream so-called black Taylor Swift or a version of a Taylor Swift. That's never going to happen. They'll give you a Sexy Red, a Cardi B, and Beyonce is somewhat grandfathered in from the 90s. So she kind of does her own thing, but even with Beyonce, there's a level of degeneracy within some of the things that she does. Not too much currently, but something you wouldn't want your daughter aspiring to do necessarily. So even with that, and so like I said, Black Americans have been excluded and systematically kicked out of almost every single genre except when it comes to so-called hip-hop and rap music. Those are the only genres, at least on a mainstream level, that we're allowed to be the face of. And this comes after we've given the game to everybody. We've given America every single genre of music, from country to rock to jazz to soul to gospel, everything. And we've given it willingly and freely. Because when you're a creator, when you're a real creator, you'll give the game freely. Because in the back of your mind, you already know that you're just going to create something else anyway. So in the end, it doesn't matter. That's what it means to be a creator. That's why the game is to be told and not sold. And for those of you who get it, you get it. But the only difference now is that they put a cap when it comes to so-called Black Americans having the ability to create, at least on a mainstream level. Like I said, we're only allowed in one or two genres. That's hip-hop and rap. And for that, everybody suffered. And if any of y'all have seen the movie Demolition Man, and shout out to Bobby H. Those of y'all who know, you know. And so shout out to him. But he's the one who I first heard mention this movie, at least in this context. In that particular movie, there was a scene in which Sylvester Stallone's character, he had been in a coma for almost 50 years, or he was on ice for the past 50 years. And when he came out, everything was different. And one of the things that stood out about it was the music. They had outlawed all music, and everybody was only allowed to listen to old jingles, old commercial jingles.
Hot dogs, hot dogs, the dogs kids love to buy.
Somebody put me back in the fridge.
And so if you think about it, that's exactly what we're being fed now. It's catchy beats with nursery rhyme jingles, all to make you buy something, all to push commercialism and capitalism, make you go out and buy the new Benz, the new Rolex, the new Prada, the new Gucci, the new whatever. That's all we're getting. Everything that we're consuming on a music level is going to make you want to go out and consume something, even down to how your favorite artist dress. And so that movie is very telling. I definitely recommend y'all checking that out. And like I said, the most frustrating part for individuals like myself, and most likely individuals like you listening to this now, is that we're almost helpless. Now I hear a lot of people talking about, if we don't support their music and we don't listen to a lot of these artists that they try to promote, then that'll stop the record companies from pumping out these artists and producing this degenerate music. But here's the catch. The majority of the people that are supporting these artists and supporting degenerate music are not so-called Black Americans. The majority of the people that are supporting this degenerate music and buying these records and selling out these concerts and selling out these arenas are going to be people within the white community. And that's a fact.
But I love me a threesome. DM a delete, she my little secret. You trying to dish me to blow up, I peep it. I can't respond, we just do it.
It's mathematically impossible for 14% of the population to make a difference when you're talking about selling records and selling out arenas. And so like I said, there's nothing we could do. And that's one of the most frustrating parts, knowing that people within the society want to hear Black people in a degenerate state. They want to hear Black people talking about being in a degenerate state, in a perpetual degenerate state. They want to dance to so-called Black Americans being in a degenerate state. They want to bop their head to so-called Black Americans being in a degenerate state. They don't want to hear about consciousness. They don't want to hear about Black people being uplifted. They don't want to hear that. That's not entertaining to them. That's not going to move them, not in the least. And I would probably say that's got to be the most frustrating thing about this whole situation. And so, like I said, the desire is there, but the reality of that desire is the total opposite. We're not in any position, at this particular point in time at least, to put a stop to it. And so they're going to keep putting out degenerate music, and there's nothing you can do about it. Now, of course, on an individual level, you can always choose what you listen to. You can always choose what you and your family listen to. And I'm not going to lie, a lot of this music is infectious. A lot of these beats that they have out there is very hypnotic. So I can understand at the same time why it's hard for the youth to not listen to it. When you're young like that and you're very impressionable, you're almost a prisoner of your times. Whatever era that you were born into, it's almost like you're a prisoner of that era. It's almost very little that anybody else can do to persuade you otherwise or to get you to adapt to another era that you're not from. Now, of course, there's always outliers and there's always exceptions to the rule, but for the most part, the majority is going to go along with the flow. And that goes for every group of people. But there's only one group in particular that's having degenerate behavior and degenerate music pushed on them. And so I think there's going to be a wrap on this particular video, and I'm definitely curious to see what you guys got to say in the comments below. So make sure you guys chime in, and I'm going to try to be as active in there as I can. And as usual, peace, chaos.